Welcome into today's podcast, right here at the Cog Hill 40. Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the canned ham for this episode, so here's Jason and Brooke. Johnny Carson didn't have nothing on these folks.
What is happening, Cog Squad? I hope you're having a wonderful day. We are coming at you from the Cog Hill 40. My camera looks off. That looks better. Wait, what's center? Oh, man. It's our other computer that we recorded the podcast on died on us. So I'm recording it from the laptop. So this is a new territory because it's a different program and all that kind of good stuff.
So we hope it works out.
Well, I got my mic on the camera in case it doesn't work out, but it shows it recording. I just don't know what the levels are and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll have to piddle with it the next couple of podcasts and see what happens.
Don't piddle with it during the podcast, though.
I'm not going to fiddle with it during the podcast. I'm going to leave it alone. I hope. What are you doing?
Oh, just our gate motors are going to be in next week.
Oh, okay. Good.
I forgot to turn my phone off, so
okay.
That was the owner of the company letting me know that the motors will be installed next week.
Oh, that's good.
So live information coming at you.
I thought you were looking at your watch to see how much time.
No, I did that earlier, but now I just got a text saying that the gate will be installed next week, and that is wonderful news.
That is wonderful news. Our the old program, we could see how long we've been talking, and this one I think we can. We just don't know where it's at.
We don't, and I'm going to keep up with it on my watch, but I heard that little ding, and I remember. If I cut my phone off, my watch will still go off. Now, don't mess with it. We're on the air. So it is very cold in central Alabama this morning.
It is cold.
So cold that we have.
That was your phone.
My phone is off.
Okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Snuggies on.
Yeah.
And
got our Snuggies on.
It's getting warm in this camper, so I'm going to remove my Snuggie. But I wanted to show what else I have on. Underneath my T-shirt, I have Long Johns.
You do have Long Johns
and we were so fortunate to have received these nice wintry duds in the gift opening.
That's right.
Even the Long Johns.
Yes. I
have the Long John pants on because I'm very cold-natured. And I'm going to tell y'all, we had a blizzard in Alabama last night.
We didn't get the snow like the people north of us did. I was looking at pictures last night in Huntsville and stuff, and it looked like they were getting like 3 inches, which is huge for Alabama. I mean, that's crazy.
Marycarl's good friend Caroline lives in Decatur, Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And Marycarl hasn't talked to her this morning because she's outside playing in the snow.
Wow.
So she sent us some pictures, and boy, did they get some snow.
Really?
I mean, they got a lot of snow. They were outside last night playing in it because I think that they were thinking it might be gone this morning.
Yeah.
But she sent a picture this morning. You just wouldn't believe it.
Still there.
Still there.
Wow.
And she didn't have to go back to school till Wednesday. So I'm happy for Caroline that she and her sister Brooke are getting to play in the snow.
Yep.
Even if we didn't get it. Happy for somebody else.
I looked outside and there was some flurries, but it wasn't going to stick. We've had too much rain for it to start sticking.
I said something that was misleading. I need to correct myself. I said blizzard. But when I think of a blizzard, I don't necessarily think of snow. I think of wind.
Yeah, it was pretty windy last night.
Pretty windy.
Yeah.
It scared me.
Yeah, it was windy.
I have never, except for when we had the hurricane come through at Little Cog, when you open the door, you could feel the wind. But inside, you really couldn't hear the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the wind up against the camper was amplified like times 10,000.
Yeah, it was.
And therefore, you couldn't rest. You couldn't rest because it was so noisy. So I just went over and talked to my mom, and she said that, boy, that wind was something else last night, wasn't it? and I was happy to hear that, it wasn't just us that experienced that. I did tell her last night late to drip her water in her
I'm glad
faucet.
you did.
Yeah, I don't know what made me think of it, but temperatures didn't get down that low. It was about 30.
Yeah, I don't think, and it didn't hang there long because this morning when I got up, it was above freezing. So, and my green stalks are fine. I mean, they didn't get hit or anything like that because it wasn't supposed to get to about 34 last night was what the weather said. So I didn't worry about putting covers on my green stalks.
But they didn't blow over.
They didn't blow over.
And I'm telling you, it was some show enough wind.
It was some wind, and I would open the door, and it was blowing pretty hard, but at the same time, too, I think being in the camper amplified it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if we would have been in the house or something, we probably wouldn't even notice it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we were, when the hurricane came through at Little Cog, it wasn't wind like the hurricane, but we couldn't even hear it inside.
Yeah, that's right.
But then when we went and opened the door, it was like, you know, you were like Jesse, what's his name? Jesse, the weather guy? That so dramatic.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
You know, he has to hold his
Caldor or something like that.
No. I was going to say Ventura, but that's not his name.
That's the wrestler.
Okay. I was close.
He was close.
So it wasn't like that kind of wind, but I think that.
Well, I would hear it, and I was like, oh my gracious. And then I'd get up and open the door, and it was blowing hard. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't.
It wasn't hurricane wind.
It wasn't like
anything.
that. It was if I walked out there, it was going to blow me down. I mean,
Jim Cantori.
I was this morning I thought the trampoline was going to be gone, the greenhouse was going to be gone.
I did too. The garbage cans, we put our garbage out on Sunday night, and
both of them were over, but only one had a bag out of it. The other one still was shut.
The gentleman comes and picks it up on Monday morning, and I thought last night, I said, it's our night to put out garbage, and the wind's blowing, and it's raining, and it's cold, and you got it out there while I went and fed Mildred her bottle, and I was expecting. Told Marycarl last night, I don't know what you were editing a video or something. I told her, I said, I bet you the garbage cans are not going to be there in the morning. And do you know what she looked at me and said?
What?
Mama, where are they going to go?
Well, I thought they were going to be out in the road.
That's what I thought.
And garbage was going to be everywhere.
I thought so too.
But it wasn't. That's just what I'm saying. I'm thinking it was
amplified.
I think in our mind it was way worse than what it actually was. I mean, don't get me wrong, the wind was blowing hard. I mean, it was, but I'm thinking we were getting gusts around 30 miles an hour. So I'm thinking.
Well, it got so bad during the night one time that I got up and I looked at my phone and it said 15 miles an hour, and I thought, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I
think it was steady around 15, and we would get gusts in the 30s. That's
what we would hear was the gust.
The gust. Yeah.
It was just just circling around the camper.
Yeah, the green stalks are still here. I even thought about the dogs, where we keep the dogs, because it's got a cover on it. And
one of the bungee cords is gone.
Yeah, but nothing
happened to it.
Nothing happened. So.
And that tells me that it wasn't as bad as what we made it out to be.
Well, I peeked out the window, and for some reason, and I didn't have my glasses on, and I can see perfectly fine up close, but distance I can't see anything with my glasses on. And I thought the other greenhouse was gone, and I don't know why. It was just the illusion, and it was so far off, and I was like, golly, that greenhouse is gone.
I don't think it could go anywhere, Jason. It's on those wooden skids.
But I just thought the
plastic was gone.
It just
we
blew
couldn't
out of
help
it.
that.
Yeah.
If that happened, we couldn't prevent that. But all is well. All is well. Mildred's had a few times in the evening where she doesn't want to eat.
She does, and we worried about it at first. We thought we were doing something wrong, because used to we would go out there and we would go together.
Right.
It would always be two of us. And when we first got her, for like the first 4 or 5 days, we would try to make her go in the horse trailer.
Right.
And we did that for 3 or 4 days straight, but we could tell
she didn't want to.
She didn't want to go in there.
But we thought it was in her best interest to be,
we thought it was.
in a enclosed shelter versus something 3-sided.
Right.
And plus we were putting a light on her.
Yes.
And she had been in the pasture for a week with no light, on her own, no shelter. Mm-hmm. So we knew that she was adapted. It was just the fact that it made us feel better knowing that she was put up at night.
So we decided to stop doing that, because there was one night that she absolutely afraid. She wouldn't go in there with a bottle. She'd get to the edge and she would just turn around. And, she doesn't want to go in there. So there's no sense of us stressing her out and make her go in the horse trailer. She just doesn't want to go in there. And so we thought that was the reason why she wouldn't eat. And she would take a bottle in the morning every time.
Every time.
But in the evening times, she wouldn't do it.
It was hit or miss. I mean, you might have one day where she took the whole thing and acted like she could have took 2 more. But then there were days where she would just turn her head. And I was so worried about it because I thought, I was doing something wrong. And I even take a thermometer to make sure the water temperature is between 100 and 105, which is where it should be. Milk shouldn't be too warm or too cold. And I use the thermometer every time, so I knew the temperature wasn't a problem. I knew the formula was the same. But
that's right.
It's just, but last night she took the bottle, and I'm thankful because it was a little colder than what it has been. And she had a bed of hay up under the Porta Hut shelter, and she and Peaches and Topper chose to sleep together.
That's crazy.
I don't know why. I would love to know what their communication was. Peaches, of course, had her first choice.
Yeah,
she
Peaches has that bed already made in there for her.
She wasn't moving. She was just never moved the whole time I gave Mildred her bottle, and just laid out.
It was you videoed it and showed it to me. I need to post it, and it was quite comical.
Yeah, because I went out with the impression that she wasn't going to eat. She wasn't going to take her bottle. But I said, you know what? I said, it's going to be cold tonight. I always offer it to her, even though it's on the edge of my body to say she's not going to take it. There's no point in you going out. But as soon as I do that, then she takes every bit of it and, makes a fool out of me. But
right.
I just hate coming back in with a full bottle and pouring it out and looking at myself like, what are you doing wrong?
Right.
But it's not me. It's just she might be eating a little bit more hay that day and her belly's full. And for whatever reason, I mean, I know I tried to make Marycarl eat more when she's full, and it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But yeah, she's doing great. Mildred is doing really, 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 really good.
She is.
Just still... You can tell she's got a lot of energy now. She's settled in. She's not nervous anymore. She's letting you pet all over.
Still hadn't got the halter on her, but we're working on it.
Still hadn't got the halter on her. I walked up to the fence yesterday, and she was laying down close to the fence, and she didn't get up. I stuck my hand in there, and she's not moody, but she's definitely settled down. I do think at some point she will be fairly tame. Yeah. I mean, she's tame now, but not like moody tame.
Well, the first few days we had her, I was kind of leery. I was kind of thinking that she's never going to be friendly, and because she kind of runs from us. Mm-hmm. She kind of went the opposite way, even if we had a bottle, and I just felt negative about it. Yeah. But now my tides have turned, and I'm feeling pretty good. And boy, she was looking kind of wide this morning.
Was she?
I mean, you know how she's kind of been that way.
Yeah.
I just can tell she's growing a little bit.
Yeah, she is growing a little bit. She's filling out just a little bit. So.
And it may just be that amount of hay that she ate, because she slept in a bed of hay, so who knows how much she ate out of that,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
Sleeping and eating and dozing a little more.
And she's probably hadn't been hungry in the evening either, because our pasture grass is coming up because it's been so warm.
It has been warm. It has been. It spoiled me to the point where I forgot what cold weather felt like. And this morning, boy, I went outside with a hat, my long johns, big jacket, and I told Jason he always gets his feet and his ears cold. Mm-hmm. And I was bragging to him a couple of weeks ago, telling him, my feet are something that just don't get cold. I just don't have cold feet. Well, I'm going to tell you something. This morning, my feet were cold.
Yeah.
And as I was walking, thinking my feet were cold, I was like, you shouldn't have ever said that.
What's funny is we were at Tractor Supply last week, and it's been 80 degrees. I think it was 85. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday?
I don't know.
I can't remember. And it's been like that across the country. It just ain't been us. Everybody's been crazy. My buddy from Sunny Slope Homestead, he told me, Mike, he said it was 50 degrees at their place, and now it's -10.
Where is he?
Somewhere around Nebraska area. Crazy.
Make sure
isn't it?
I'm not going there.
But anyways, we were in Tractor Supply, and I saw some Carhartt socks that were for extreme cold, and I bought 4 pair.
And
It
I
was
thought
4
you
pair.
were crazy.
You thought I was crazy, and I was like, nope. I done wore out 1 pair. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I think you threw them away
I
because they had a
did.
big old hole in it.
Well, Jason has a tendency to not throw both of them away. He'll throw the whole one away, and then I have a
What are you
sock
gonna do
with no match.
What are you going to do with one sock?
I don't know.
Make a
but
sock puppet? That's what I should have done. Just
More times than none, I realize when I come up with one sock that the other one probably had a hole
Probably
in
had
it
a
and
hole
threw
in
it
it.
away.
Yeah.
And you thought you'd save that second one for whatever reason.
Who knows why I do that?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know why you
I
do.
don't know why I do
but
that.
That's okay. If that's the only fault you have, then I did very well.
Well, I was thinking, I walked by them socks. You had thrown one away. I knew you had wore out that 1 pair, and it left me with 1 pair. And I had been wearing them because I double them up. I would wear my regular, and I usually wear wool socks. And I wore a wool sock, and I put that. There was Carhartt cold weather sock on top of it, and I was, I would wear them 2 days in a row. The Carhartt ones, not the other ones. And I was like, I gotta get some more of these socks. And they happen to have some. They look different. They're a little longer.
I'm a sock cheapie. I only buy socks at Walmart when I need them, and I ought to show y'all what my socks look like.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
Good socks are worth its weight in gold.
It completely changed my mind last year is when you found a pair of socks from REI that were on sale. And I had been wearing hiking boots because I got where I really like these hiking boots, and I got them on now because they're weatherproof, they're extremely comfortable, and they do well in hot weather and cold weather. But I really need some really cold weather ones. But anyways, you bought me some socks.
I bought them on sale online.
On clearance.
And I didn't know what they were going to be like, but I knew that you were kind of like a sock connoisseur,
Well,
for a better way to say it.
It's just that, in the hot weather, my feet sweat so bad, and in the cold weather, it's the other way and around. You're like, well, I'm going to get you these good socks. Complete game changer. I was like, oh my gracious. And so I've been wearing these REI socks, and you got me several pair, and then ended up buying some more pair. They were called Farm to Feet. They come from REI too. Also, some they're like wool blend socks, and it may be like $10-15 for 2 pair.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's crazy because you can buy a pack of Hanes.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
was going to show you is look at my poor pitiful socks. Do
Yeah.
you see all those little balls that are built up on them? And I have not had these socks very long at
Yep.
all. But I am so cheap when it comes to socks that I don't want to. And I am a preserver.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I have a pair of socks that I got from Boggs that are awesome.
Yeah.
But I won't wear them because I'm so scared I'm going to mess them up.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. And then you'll have these pair of socks from 1996.
Yeah, and then
that
I'll
you'll
leave
just
the
keep
good
wearing.
ones.
And leave
And
the
I
good
wish I could break that habit because
Yeah.
I am so that way about everything.
Yeah, that is.
I don't want to use
Right.
something because I don't want it to go bad.
Yeah, that's yep.
Even
You do that.
even a car up until these last few years.
Yep.
I have not wanted to go somewhere because it would put miles on the car.
Yeah, you would do that with the truck. You'd want to drive the little old Honda to Birmingham
To save those 200
because you don't want to
miles.
put miles on the newer pickup.
Forget
truck.
about our comfort level,
worry
our
about the comfort
safety
level. Yeah.
measures.
Yep.
Don't worry about that. Just save those miles. But you
Yep.
know what?
You're gonna change.
I am finally over that hump.
Well, getting back to socks. Well, last year, around the same time we got the socks, you bought me some underwear.
Right?
And it was a game changer. You've just been buying just regular, but I'm trying to think of the brand of the one I like. I can't say it.
Is
And
it those purple looking ones?
no,
You don't like those.
They're okay. It was a gray pair, and it's like EXO something. And
I know what
I
you're
got a
talking
pair
about.
of pants that I've wore out that are the same brand name. Just awesome.
Exafitzico.
That's it. It's just awesome. You just don't know how comfortable. I guess kind of like your pillow.
I'm that way with underwear too. I just I just let it go to rags before I buy any more. And finally, it's usually Marycarl that says, Mama, when we're in here, you need to get you some new underwear. And, it's somebody else that has to tell me rather than me taking it upon myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to the pillow.
Yes.
I talked about my neck not hurting because I bought the pillows upon your Marycarl recommendation.
And how's that going still?
At the register, I turned around. There were the pillows.
Right.
I didn't care what brand they were. I just knew I needed a different pillow.
Yes.
So a lot of people asked me what kind of pillow it was. Well, honest to goodness, I couldn't tell you.
Just throw the bag away.
I threw the bag away. It was in just a little bag, but I went and looked at the tag, and it was Beauty Rest, and they make like umpteen million different styles.
Gosh.
So I can't tell you exactly what style it is, but I haven't had a neck ache since the pillows.
That's amazing.
I have to imagine that I was doing something wrong.
That's
with
amazing. I agree.
my sleep pattern.
I agree. Your pillow was definitely part of the problem.
And it's nothing fancy, like I said. It's not for neck problems. Mm-mm. It's just different than what I had.
I guess it's like, difference between soft, medium, and firm. I guess just that kind of thing. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah.
But, I didn't buy it. I didn't feel the fluff and know that.
You just grabbed a pillow and said, I'm going to roll
register.
the dice.
And I said, because they told me to get one, I'm going to get it. And
you just got lucky that you got the right one.
And I feel like I just bought pillows,
Yeah.
And that's the way I do too. I have in my mind, I just bought pillows. I don't need pillows. I just bought them. Well, I'm glad I gave it a try because I haven't had a neck problem.
That's unreal.
It is, and I just have to imagine that had something to do with it. You want me to cut the heat down some?
Yeah, cut it down some.
Okay, you got to keep talking.
I will keep talking. It took a while for a little camper to get warmed up, but
what should I do? Just turn
the one on the left. Turn it to like turn about halfway.
Okay, I'm a little less than halfway.
Okay, that'll work. If we get cold, we'll put our snuggies on.
Well, I have to tell you what, it gets cold in here, but then again, it can get really warm.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to talk about the barn cleanup video.
You can talk about the barn cleanup
What,
video.
you had something on your mind?
Mm-mm. I do want to talk about green stalk, and somebody had asked a question. I might as well go ahead and answer it. They were wanting to know, how in the world do I get it to grow so good? What is my secret? Could I elaborate on that? And I think the screen just could, but it kept recording. Can I? What's the deal? And here it is. This is it. The quality of seeds you use. That is hands down almost. If you're planting direct seed like I did in those planters, it's the quality of seeds.
Well, you're referring to germination rate probably, right?
Germination, and because if it don't germinate, it's not going to grow.
Right.
So, number one is going to be the quality of seeds. Number two is planting the right thing at the right time. You want to plant tomatoes now, which they probably would have grown as hot as it's been this winter. But
I saw a picture of somebody whose neighbor had a tomato plant that had tomatoes on it, and they were in Alabama.
Yeah, I can believe it.
They don't have it now, but...
Yeah, but know your zone and know what grows, and that's basically it. If you got growing in those planters, it's just the quality of seed. If you go to Home Depot and buy a pack of seeds, buy a pack of seeds, at the register or on those little
clearance things,
turntable things they got there.
It's not for your zone.
It's going to be, well, it's not only that, you don't know how old those seeds are, you don't know the germination of those seeds, you don't know, and it is a gamble, 50-50 shot, and our buddy Wes over at the Naked Hog did a video on it where he took seeds from Home Depot, took seeds from Hoss, took seeds from, I think he had Baker Creek, Johnny's, and one other place. And your quality seeds like Hoss, Baker Creek, Johnny's, they all did very, very well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Hoss was, had the best germination rate. But the other two were very, very close. But the ones you got from Home Depot, those burpees or whatever they're called, horrible.
Feral and
Yeah,
Morse.
that one too. Horrible. You see them at Tractor Supply.
Well,
those seeds are not. They may be $1.50 for a pack, but it's not worth it. It is not worth.
I was going to say
horrible. It's like buying a good pair of socks.
That kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is I'm a cheapie.
Yeah.
And so I would be one of those people like years ago before I learned that I needed a new pillow.
Yes.
And such as that, I would buy seeds that were on clearance.
Oh, I have
just
too.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
look at these zinnias or
Yes.
even vegetables, and them never come up. Okay, so they never came up. They cost $1.50. You threw that $1.50, you ripped it up, you tossed it away. You could have spent $4 from a name brand seed, put those in the ground, been pleasantly surprised with your outcome, had, beneficial vegetables or flowers to look at, and then not wasted your time nor your money.
Yeah, because your time, you can't get that back.
You can't get that back.
Don't think about time, as money, but I mean, you that took away from,
And then again, sometimes it might take 30 days for something to germinate. So by the time you've waited on that seed to germinate and it doesn't come up, you might be out of your window to plant.
Yeah, you
to
may be out of
replant.
your plant. Yeah.
So do it right the first time.
I learned in gardening with the seeds, you get what you pay for. And, that can go along with, fruit trees. You see those fruit trees at Tractor Supply and all that. I mean, not to say, because I've seen my dad buy a fruit tree from Walmart before, a plum tree, and it produced plums like crazy. But I also seen him buy 15 peach trees, and none of them do anything.
That's right. So I feel like, and we're not pushy product people.
No, not at all.
We are just
we just want people to get what they pay for. I want people to be
pass on our learning experiences.
That and to be what word am I looking
for?
Knowledgeable and to be successful. That's what I'm looking for. I want you to be a successful gardener. And when it comes to seeds, not all seeds are created equal by all means, or plants.
If you go out of your way and you buy a green stalk, well, then your ultimate goal is to see something grow. So if you bought that green stalk and you're expecting to see something, put a good seed in there and you're going to be successful.
Right.
Put a junky seed in there and you might just be looking at a green stalk with empty dirt.
It is very possible. And it don't have to be a green stalk. It could be a pot.
Right.
It could be a grow bag.
I'm just saying, you go to the time and the trouble to pick out something.
Buy all that soil. Mm-hmm.
The soil, you can't get that back. I mean, not to say you couldn't reuse it, but still, you're looking at soil. Who wants to look at just bare soil?
Yeah, so that's the key thing about the green stalk, being successful with it is know your zone, know what grows then, and buy a good quality seed. And we do use Hoss. I mean, Hoss is, we've had unbelievable success with Hoss. They are a sponsor of our channel too. And if you guys are interested, because, this January, I'm going to tell you guys, it is time for you, if you're in zone 8 or higher, I don't know anything lower, because we're in zone 8, it is time to start seriously thinking about your spring and summer garden seeds, because if you're going to start from seed in seed trays, you're going to want to start doing that around February.
Yeah, and plus they, sell out.
They sell out.
Because you got people that are planning ahead, that are anticipating what they want to grow this year. And so you need to sit down on some of these cold, wet days and go look at the websites and figure out what you want for this next year.
That's right.
You know what I was impressed with, and I've never been to another seed company besides Hoss, but when you and I and Marycarl visited Hoss, they had it was like a climate controlled room.
Oh yeah.
And their seeds are kept, refrigerated at the right temperature, the ones that need to be. Now there's some that don't have to be, but for whatever reason, and they were so organized with the way that they stored those seeds in that climate.
Very well organized. And they got several climate control areas. It's not just one.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are different temperatures required.
They even have like a potato area. I mean, yeah, it's a jam up operation over there now.
Well, this was what was on my mind about that being in the coolers and stuff, or the climate control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see those big trailers out behind Walmart, those 18-wheelers that are stored. I bet you anything that back in September, those trailers were filled with seeds for spring.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get ready for the next year. Have stuff sitting there to put on the shelves when it's time. Here I go. That being said, they probably went through a lot of heat, possible mold, possible humidity changes. Yeah. And that also affects the way that something germinates.
It does. And then, I know Halls has their seed germination rate tested constantly. So what you do, and it's put on every seed pack. So whatever it says on that seed pack, it is done. And, I've seen Greg, we saw him then, and I've heard him, he's said it before. If a bag of seeds he's got fails a germination test, they throw that whole thing away, telling me how much money he loses.
Yeah.
But it is, they're not going to sell a customer a bad batch of seeds, and if they did, for whatever reason, they would definitely, replace it, and no problems, no questions asked. As a matter of fact, I've seen them sell seeds, and because we've gotten seeds from them before, and then randomly out of the blue get a pack that I didn't order. And what happened is that I ordered, say, like Bilarosa tomato seeds, for example. I'm just using this one for example because I can't remember what seed it was. And we bought them seeds and put them in the seed trays, blah, blah, blah. And they send you another pack because the ones they sold you, germination test wasn't as good as they anticipated. And they must have had some feedback come back in, and they sent everybody across the board that had bought seeds from that time period more seeds for free. Didn't even tell them. Didn't even ask them. Then it just automatically did it. And that's customer
service.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But, when you're in business, you want your customers to be happy, you want them to be repeat buyers. And in order to do that, it's not buying off the clearance rack. It's developing a relationship with somebody who you trust, and you know that you're going to be successful with the time and effort you've put into planting something.
That's right.
And here I am trying to sound like a garden expert, but I'm in no way claiming to be one, but I do know from experience that the cheapest is not always the best.
Right. Well, and two, what we'll do is I'll be getting close to looking as to what we want to plant this year, which is still going to be a little bit limited somewhat because, I got the big garden, but...
Well, we want most of our things to go behind the house we will consume.
Correct.
And that's not probably going to happen this year.
Right. So but anyways, long story short, I'll let you guys know what we're planning and that kind of thing when we do it. So if you guys are in zone 8 or whatever, then y'all can follow along and maybe that'll help you guys out. So that'll be coming up pretty soon.
So, back to the barn clean out. What other video did we have? We had the barn clean out.
Had the barn clean out, and we had, that was the power video, and then the one that actually came out this morning while we're recording this podcast was the pond.
The pond, but there was another two.
Oh gosh. I can look. You talk.
So, the barn clean out. We knew this was going to be a big undertaking because when we moved from the little cog, we had no electricity at the 40, but we knew that barn was going to be the best place for us to store our things. So basically what we did is we took everything that needed to be under a roof and shoved it in that barn the best way we could with headlights, wearing headlights to see. And we do have a generator, and there were times that we would plug it in and put a little LED light up, give us a little more light, but it still isn't like you could see everything. You could see where the light was. But
that's right.
So we knew this was a big undertaking, and honestly, we had kind of put off the cleaning up until we got power. Yeah,
we did. You just hard to see in there, and plus too, we didn't know, we kind of saw some bad spots in the barn, but we didn't know the extent of it. And was it something that an undertaking that we wanted to, do ourselves?
Well, we don't know anything about blocks, and that's we could see the damage to the wood where that needed to be replaced, but we felt like we needed to start at the bottom, which was the blocks, the foundation.
That's right.
The barn is held up by poles, so it's the structure part is dependent on those poles, but if that block part fails, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, we're going to have a problem too. So, yeah, there was it was once we got the lights on, it was a little bit worse than I thought. I didn't know the roof was as bad as it is too. But we do want to try to save that barn, because building another one that size would be, no telling how much money it would be. It would be
And besides
crazy.
that, we'd have to find a spot to start over. We don't want to just leave the slab and start building up. There's a lot of it that can be saved.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of it with the proper person working on it can fix it. So, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we found somebody that we thought could do the work that we are not knowledgeable about.
Right.
And he came over this past weekend, and he took a look at it, and he was like, yeah, he knew what to do. He knew where to start. Our thoughts were, okay, we know we got some pinholes in the roof, for lack of a better way to say it. So, our question, my question, I don't even know that this was on your mind because we didn't talk about it before you got there, but we knew that we had, some water coming in.
Yeah.
And we kind of arranged our stuff around where the water was. But my question to him was, should we start with the roof? Because we know we got water coming in, but we also got some structural problems. And he said, what good is a roof if you don't have a foundation?
Yeah,
and that made sense.
Right.
So this gentleman named James is going to start replacing some of the block work on this next weekend.
Yeah, he's going to start on that front wall. He's going to start there and fix all that, and then start working his way around. It looked bad, and it was above my head, but at the same time, he acted like it wasn't that big of a deal, too.
Well, he's experienced in that area.
Right.
And all I could see, every time I looked at it, I thought, we're going to need a jack, and we're going to need to jack this header up in order to get those blocks out. And he never mentioned that. So I think I was going about it the whole wrong way.
Yeah. And I kept thinking, too, at some point, it's going to start falling in certain places.
He confirmed that. He said, if you don't do something now, then you're going to have a bigger and bigger and bigger problem that you probably won't want to tackle trying to fix. You would want to replace the whole thing if that comes down to that.
Right.
So he gave me a list of things that I need to pick up for him to get started. And what was that?
This window doesn't have a latch. Yeah.
So I while you've been working on videos and such, I've kind of cleaned out around the outside of it. And that way he can see the block work on the inside and the outside. And he really doesn't need any blocks. It's kind of just he's going to clean off the old ones, use some
reuse them,
mortar. I wrote down what I needed, re-butter those brick blocks and get them back to where they need to be, and then start working on some of the rotten wood.
Yep.
And he suggested we get all the framework finished before we start tackling the roof.
But I'm so glad that he is going to tackle it. And
we're such do-it-yourselfers that it took so much out of us to bite the bullet and say, we don't think we can do this.
Right.
Because I feel like had we got started, we would have made a bigger mess than what we...
Well, I can tell you this. I have starting to learn with my old age.
Old age. You're not old. You're only 1 year older than me, and I'm a young chick.
I have started to learn that, the older I got, is to work smarter and not harder. And
that's a perfect example.
This would be a perfect example. I would take this project on, and I would be trying to do it by myself because, you can't pick up heavy stuff, and
my
it would
pillows only work so far, don't they?
It would be, y'all. It would take me it's probably, he said he could do that first wall in a day.
In a
day.
He expects to have it framed up and ready to put doors on. By the way, during the night when the wind was rumbling, I have found some hardware for the door that we want, and I saved it for us to look at together, but I forgot about it.
Well, what would take this guy a day would take me 6 months. And I'm not kidding.
Along with all the other things that are priority that
right.
have to be done. I mean, we have things that have to be done pertaining to the house build.
Speaking of house build, I've read so many comments, especially after us talking about the pond. What is going on with the house? Why are y'all not started on the house? What's going, when are y'all going to start on the house? What's the deal with the house? The trusses have not came in for our house yet. They were supposed to be here mid-December-ish, and that didn't happen. So now they're thinking the second week of January. So we will know next week. If they don't show up then it's going to be another week. So that's the problem with the house right now, is that the trusses are not here. So you can't build the house without the trusses. So that's where we are on the house.
Believe me, I'm anxiously awaiting.
Yes.
I just feel like, we've been so patient for so long that my patience is wearing thin, and there's nothing I can do about it. I just might as well just chill out, which is kind of what I'm doing. I'm just sitting back and just thinking, if I could do something to speed it up, I would, but I can't. So
right. Yeah, it's out of our hands.
It's out of our hands. So we're just working on things that need to be done in the meantime.
Yep. And it's going to be like that. Our garage doors aren't here yet. We ordered those how long ago? They're
going to be here on I don't remember what I said, the 10th or so?
Yeah, but
January?
How many times did that date change?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So our garage doors aren't here, and we ordered those. Oh.
It was way before we left Cog Hill, because I can remember sitting at the computer at the desk looking at, trying to figure out what we wanted.
3 or 4 months ago at least, the garage doors have been ordered, and they're not here yet.
Well, they're not here, but yet our doors and windows are here, and they're all in storage. And,
yes.
I think sometimes we could have waited on that, but we didn't know.
We didn't know. We could have waited on that, but we didn't know.
We could be in a situation where
the garage doors are now.
Where the trusses could be here, and he's ready to finish, but we don't have doors and windows. We know that's not going to be the issue.
That's not going to be the issue. There was something our appliances, we hadn't heard from them.
No, and they were supposed to be here December something.
Mm-hmm. But he kind of alluded to the fact, or prepared us, that this is the date they're saying they're going to be here, but they may not be here then.
He thought we were doing a good thing by ordering them well in advance.
Yep.
And now that I see what's going on, we could be ready for them and them not be here.
Right.
But that's not going to be the case. I think it's probably going to be timed out just right.
I hope so. I'm trying to think of...
Cabinets, our cabinet.
Cabinets, so we got that. Unless wood goes completely crazy.
We're locked in on the price, because
I'm talking about material wise. If he can't get the materials to build the cabinets, that would be the only thing.
I think he's already probably got that.
But I think we're okay on the cabinets. If we would have went with a big box store cabinet, we wouldn't be okay with the cabinets, because they're way out.
The cabinet guy, he wants us to let him know as soon as the house gets in the dry, and that way he can, maybe we could get the kitchen walls on up and interior part frame, so he could start building the boxes.
Right.
And he just wants to stay in touch with us and know as soon as we are able to get some final measurements in. He can go by the plans, but that doesn't mean that wall is going to go exactly where.
That's right.
He just wants to put hands on the actual dimensions.
Right.
Piper got a bird for Christmas.
She did get a bird for Christmas.
She got it from our friend Robert Day at Daybird Aviaries, who is, hand raises a lot of birds.
Parrots and parakeets and that kind of thing when we're talking about birds.
That's where Marycarl's Zerk, the cockatiel, came from. Mondu, the Quaker parrot, came from. I almost didn't get it right.
Did you say pilgrim?
Uh-huh. And so Piper got a budgie, which is a parakeet.
Yeah, which is parakeet.
She got that for Christmas from Robert, and his name is Atlas, and he's
Atlas.
He's a beautiful little bird. Piper says that he likes her. Well, they call it. I guess they call it a he, but they're not sure of the sex yet.
Right.
Robert must think it's a he, or she wouldn't know.
I got you.
But likes her Nina, who is her grandmother, the best.
Ain't that something?
And so I'm so happy Piper has a bird, because she's wanted one for a long time.
Yeah, I can hear her and Marycarl talking back and forth with the birds. It's
Piper would say that Atlas was turning his head when Zert was chirping or singing or whatever, because they do that FaceTime thing to where you can, look at each other.
Right.
So before you know it, they'll be singing back and forth to each other.
They will be singing back and forth. Oh, Atlas. That is that's so good for Piper. Good for Pipes.
Marycarl's good friend Caroline and her sister are getting they're getting a puppy for Christmas.
Yes.
Caroline has a whole lot of allergies, food allergies, different body allergies.
Right.
So they've been hesitant on adding a dog. They've never had a dog since we've known them. And they are getting a golden retriever that will be ready. The date's changed. It was like January 16th, but now it's on early in January.
I got you.
So they're excited to have a female golden retriever.
Have they named it yet?
They were going to name her Lady, and I think that they have changed that, but I'm not sure.
I got you.
I know it's a female, and I've seen pictures of her, but they're so excited to have their first dog.
First dog.
Their first dog. Their grandmother has, what are they called?
King Charles.
Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, and it's kind of out of the box for them to get a golden retriever, but they're settled in a new home, and
I love golden retrievers.
I do too.
I absolutely love golden retrievers. That's like the most loving dog you could possibly own. They are just...
say a Pomeranian's probably the most loving.
No, golden retriever. We never had one.
We've
had neighbors that had them, and I know that I've heard of other people talk about them. You read about them, and you see them. I mean, they're never in a bad mood, and they are just wanting to please their owner so much, and just a big ball of love. That's what they like.
We had one that lived across the street from us when we first got married. And
what was its name?
Shelby.
Shelby
was pretty much my dog, but she lived across the street. She spent all of her time in our yard. She didn't live in a fenced-in yard.
Come in the house when it rained outside.
Come in the house when it rained. I mean, she was literally like our dog.
She was a red golden retriever.
She was so loving.
She was, and then our other neighbor at Little Cog had Lexi, who was
That's right.
Just the same way, just a ball of joy.
She was a red Goldie too,
and wanted to be around you. Wanted just, I don't know. Do
you remember Shelby would always do her paw?
Yep, Shelby
like
would do her paws. Would.
We always call it a Pyrenees paw, but now that I think about it, it's a golden retriever.
Golden retriever paw too.
Caroline's is blonde.
Okay.
Yellow, I guess you call it. But we had yellow labs, and then we've been around red golden retrievers, so. We'll have the blonde Goldie to love from afar.
Yeah, you and Marycarl both say no more big dogs again.
No more big dogs.
Or big dogs meaning
inside
dogs.
That's right. I had big dogs growing up. I had a Doberman male as a young child, and his name was Dylan. And he was an awesome, awesome dog. He was just beautiful and enormous in size. He was huge. He could catch a Frisbee like nobody's business. My daddy, would be out in the backyard, and he could literally just leap to... It was like something you see on TV. The Doberman's agility was crazy. But after we lost him, we wanted to carry on his bloodline, so we ended up getting... He ended up being a stud at some point, and we got a puppy off of him, not while Dylan was alive. We ended up acquiring it after Dylan passed away. Maggie was grown when we got her.
So Maggie was Dylan's puppy?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was grown when we got her.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have, we didn't want to have, bringing a new addition in while Dylan was still alive.
I got you.
And so Maggie lived out her life with us. She was a Doberman as well. Brown Doberman, and it just was not a breed that was for me.
Yeah.
It was, but it's not something I would desire to have today.
Right.
Nothing bad. It just wasn't very affectionate.
Was it very affectionate? Not like a lab or the your Pomeranian.
Well, you
Gidget.
refer to her as it.
I like Gidget.
So the next dog that we had, once Maggie passed away.
Yes.
No, Maggie was still alive.
Maggie was still alive.
And so I wanted a lab really bad. Jason and I had been dating for a very long time. He was working a full-time job, and I was still living at home with my parents. And so he bought me a registered black lab.
I did.
Yeah, it was a female. And so immediately my parents took to liking the dog.
Yep.
And while you and I both loved her, she really became my parents' dog.
Really became, and your dad was obsessed with Doo, was her name.
Her name, my daddy
D-O-O.
named. She had to have a registered name to be registered. And so he named her. Do you remember?
Alabama Voodoo.
Alabama Boodoo.
I have no idea why.
And so her name was D-O-G.
Okay, D-O-G.
Uh-huh.
Right.
D-O-G.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were going to call her D-O-G. That didn't last long. It became
Doo.
D-O-O.
D-O-O.
That's the craziest name I've ever heard of.
Craziest. He spent so much time with that dog and had her trained. What's funny is the newspaper would throw the paper out at the
Well, we had
foot.
we had a paper box,
Yeah.
but he decided that he would like for her to go get the paper.
Right.
So he talked to the paper and he told them to take the box down and start throwing the paper.
So they would throw the paper in the yard, and he would open up the door, and she would immediately run and go get the newspaper and bring it back.
And that was her joy. She
She
lived
loved
to
it.
get that newspaper.
And then the newspaper found out about it, and then she was like the mascot. You
Yeah.
know, there was pictures of her with the paper in her mouth running back.
I remember one time they did an advertisement.
They did.
And it was, miss your paper, call us and we'll re-deliver. And it had a picture of Doo with the newspaper in her mouth. It was a big advertisement.
It was.
But Doo loved her stuffed animals.
Yes.
And she had a little, do y'all remember when Snuggle, the fabric softener,
Yes.
came out with those little stuffed animals?
Little teddy bear.
And so Doo had one for whatever reason. I probably bought it at the Goodwill because I bought oodles of stuffed animals for her at the Goodwill. And she would take the baby outside in the morning to go get the newspaper.
Yeah.
And she would go do her business and get the paper and bring it back and forget her baby. Every day she forgot her baby because she couldn't carry the newspaper and the baby. So she'd bring the paper back and Daddy would praise her and everything. He'd say, now go get your baby. And she was, I forgot my baby. And she'd go right back outside and she would go get her baby and be just as giddy with the baby as she was.
She was the newspaper.
The newspaper. I forgot about all that.
Yeah, she would, and loved to go fishing too.
Love to go fishing. Oh my gracious.
That was your third big dog.
I guess that was, but then
And you were anti-little dog.
Anti-little dog. I'd never had a little dog. I didn't know any.
Anti-little dog. When I was looking at, because I had moved out of the house and I was wanting a companion, and you were like, I don't like little dogs. Don't get a little dog. I remember that, and so I ended up getting, which I like labs. Ended up getting a lab, and ended up being 2 labs, and
because we had Doo I still lived at home,
right,
and we had Doo, so we knew the temperament of a lab. So you decided to get first the female lab, Bay, and then you had a coworker who was looking to rehome a male lab, and he was neutered, and his
name was Moose, and he was a puppy when we got him. Moose was a puppy.
He was a puppy, but he had been with them for a little bit.
Yep.
With the second owner.
But Moose ended up being my favorite dog. But he was my buddy. Moose. Me and Moose were pretty tight. We were really tight. But he had problems. He had retinal dysplasia. He couldn't see in the daytime. He was very large, so he had kind of shoulder and hip problems. But he was a unbelievable dog for me. He followed me everywhere. I could go out there and clean up the yard or whatever, and he'd stay right there and make a burn pile, and he would stay right there. So, I mean, it was like having a shadow.
Yeah.
I'm still having Arlo is a great dog, but if I go outside with Arlo, he'll follow me around a little, to some degree, but he goes way, just starts running and goes all over the place, and I have to call him and come back. Moose wasn't like that. Moose
He'd
was
stay right there.
Right there on your hip.
And I wonder if that's because his vision was so limited.
It may have been. Yeah, he may have been because he couldn't see very well, so he was just, would stay right there with me and was very protective of me too. That was the other thing. He was
probably
very
more of a
protective.
protector than Bear is.
He was, and I think it was also to do with his vision.
Yeah, you're probably
Because
right.
labs generally are not aggressive.
It was
I know,
odd
it
having
was
a
odd.
lab that was.
It really was odd having a lab that was protective, and Moose was very protective, especially when it came to animals. Oh my gracious!
And Bay, she was super smart.
Extremely smart.
She was like way smarter than what she should have been, in our opinion. Because we were used to having Dew. Not to say she wasn't smart.
Dew was smart too.
Dew was smart,
Yeah.
but Bay was on another level.
Bay was crazy smart.
She needed to be stimulated, and she just couldn't hang with Moose because he was just not all together.
Moose was a big galoot. Moose would be what Moody is.
Yes, and we think about that all the time when we're out there with Moody and interacting. We just
That was Moose.
That was Moose. That was Moose, and we always had to give him a little special care because of his vision being so limited.
Yeah, his vision. If it was daytime, it was he couldn't see. He just couldn't see, and he would run into things. If it was daytime, at nighttime,
He was pretty good.
he was pretty good, but during the daytime, he could not see at all.
No, I remember we had a fenced-in backyard, and we had that little picket fence area.
Yeah.
And the gate always stayed open. And there was a time when it was shut.
Like the wind blew it shut or something.
And he wasn't ever expecting it to be shut because it was always open. And he just walked right into it. I mean,
Walked right
his
into it.
vision was that bad. And that was from early on. That wasn't later in life. That was just something that we had to be careful about, where he went alone.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah, he was he just couldn't see, and then you're probably right. That's probably why he just stayed close by. But I thoroughly enjoyed that dog.
Yep,
big time.
He was one of a kind.
He was,
and they all three lived out their lives, and nothing tragic happened to any of them. They just grew old age and lived their life, and we have wonderful memories of all of them.
Yeah,
and they all
do.
got along. After I moved out and moved in with Jason after we got married, Mama would bring Dew over to the house.
She would, to Little Cog.
Not Little Cog.
Oh,
Willow Drive.
Willow Cog. I thought Blue came out to Little Cog.
Willow Drive.
Okay.
And she would walk around with Moose and Bay.
That's right.
Had dogs, Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hung out with them, played with them, and just good memories. Good memories.
Good memories. Dogs
Okay.
are awesome.
Dogs are awesome. I wish I could have like a bunch of them.
I know you do.
I just love them. I mean, I'm one of those people that if I'm driving down the road and I see a dog and it's about to get in the road or something's going to happen, and Marycarl's the same way. Mama's got a collar on. Let's call the owner. Let's call the owner. They probably don't know where they belong. And a lot of times you'll see a house right there, and, if you look hard enough, you see the owner standing out in the yard.
Right.
I just have a soft place in my heart for all animals, and maybe that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Maybe so. You're probably right. Yeah,
I don't consider us a rescue, but it kind of feels like it sometimes.
It does feel like it sometimes.
But we're just soft-hearted people and want
Very soft-hearted people.
everything with a heartbeat to have a good life.
That's right.
All right, you done?
I guess so. I guess that will end this episode of the Cogcast podcast. And you guys stay warm out there.
Stay warm. Get you a Snuggie.
Get you a Snuggie.
And some thermals.
Yes.
They'll keep you warm. And some
keep-
good socks.
And a dog to cuddle up with.
That's right. Sit by the fire. Sip on your coffee. Except I don't sip on coffee. I drink coffee like...
I don't know what it is with you and the coffee.
I just... I was thinking about getting me a cup to come and have this podcast, but I would have had it drank at 3 minutes
You drink
in.
it so fast.
It's like it's...
And it's hot.
That's hot.
I don't know how you do it.
I drink it real fast. I say I'm done. All right. Until next time.
Y'all be good.
Well, it's another one in the books for the Cog Hill 40. Join us again next week for our next edition of the Cog Hill podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.